All right, everybody. What we're going to be doing today is going over this video right here. Now, this video is going to involve somebody getting into a motorcycle accident. We're going to skip around a few things, but we're going to talk about what to do and what not to do, why this is something that you need to be focused on, and why you need to grab yourself a trauma kit right here. This is the SMARTRIDER Basic Trauma Kit. Woo! It's the rescue kit. It's got everything in here. We'll be talking about that during this video. Let's go ahead and start watching and see what happened. So first, you don't want to take the helmet off like that. He's unconscious. Alright. So this is him riding 8:30. Now there's a little bit more involved. They're riding around in the mountains, having some fun. It was a beautiful day until this happens. So we're going to go ahead and see what happened here. So this is the moment things happen. Okay, so it looks like they're in the front. Things are happening in the back. I want you from here to pay attention and think about what it is you're doing. Because remember, rescue another rider, Jesus, is remain calm, ensure your own safety. So I want you to have that in your mind right now when you first witness something. And then with that knowledge, come from that perspective. All right, so let's watch. So everyone's concerned. Everyone's concerned. Nobody knows what to do yet. Remember to remain calm and ensure your own safety. So now we're going to meet up with the person that was involved in the accident. And this is where you have your rescue kit. Okay, so you have gloves, you have everything. Do your assessment. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about everything. We're going to watch first. Okay, he's unconscious for those of you that are wondering. He's completely unconscious. Those are snoring respirations. The bleeding from the nose could just be from the normal impact. Okay, so you see the knee. Okay, so look at all the different areas of impact. We're going to talk about this part too, that we shouldn't do this. So look at all the different areas of impact. Start thinking, where am I going to start doing my treatment? Is there any external bleeding that I can control? Is he breathing? Is there anything I have to do or can do right now that will help him? And how can we do this, right? How can we do this? Deliver him to the hospital as quick as we can, but with spinal precautions. C-spine precautions. Okay, how do we do that? Because I know in different areas, in different countries, different everything, not everyone has 911. Looks like they're going to take him to the hospital, or they're kidnapping him. Just kidding, they're going to the hospital. So there's more to this video, but just take a quick look at the area that happened. Take a quick look at the area that happened. Possible highway speeds, right? That's the direction of traffic. Okay. You guys see the skid mark? You guys see the skid mark right before the crash? So possible locking up the brakes, possible braking and hitting something. He had to hit something, so a vehicle, he hit a vehicle. Okay, so we're thinking mechanism of injury right now. So when you see that, think of front end damage to the body. We don't know what he hit because I don't see a vehicle with damage. Okay, real quick, thank God there were no major injuries to him. After 3 hours, we get back to the bike, okay? So thankfully, no major injuries, because the major injuries could have been bad, especially with those spinal precautions they were doing. Okay, so look at the front end damage. So he impacted something to the front, completely just demolished the front end.
So भाई ये है वो बाइक जो कि अभी कुछ आवर्स पहले एक्सीडेंट हुई थी और ये हमारा राइडर है.
And there he is. He looks like he's groggy.
बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं लगी उस टाइम पे, लग रहा था क्रिटिकल कंडीशन है, बट अभी ठीक है. तो देवांश बता उस टाइम पे कैसे हुआ था, क्या हुआ अचानक से?
हुआ ऐसा था कि हम बाइक पे जा रहे थे और जो नया फ्लाईओवर बना उस वाले टर्न पर उन्होंने जो अपनी कार थी अचानक से मोड़ दी थी। बाइक होगी 30-40 की स्पीड में, जिस वजह से कंट्रोल हुई नहीं और वो जाके सीधा कार में लग गई। वो भी उन्होंने रॉन्ग साइड मोड़ी थी।
और
If anybody wants to translate that for me, that'd be great.
उसके बाद वो भागने लगे थे, हमने उसे आगे जाके रोका, तो उसके बाद तो आपने वीडियो देख ही लिया गया। बस ये है कि हाँ उस टाइम पे भाई की हालत बहुत ख़राब थी, बट अभी ठीक है, तो कोई ज़्यादा दिक्कत नहीं है। और बाइक तो खैर रिपेयर हो ही जाएगी। मेन तो हमारा राइडर था, राइडर ठीक है तो सब ठीक है।
So more that I think that bleeding from the nose area was that scratch right here on his face. I don't think it was bleeding out of the nose. I think it was bleeding from a scratch. So we're going to talk about this one, everybody. We're going to talk about what happened. So we'll get to the actual accident because that's where things started happening. Come on, new riders. If you want to know how to ride effectively and smart, make sure you grab the SMARTRIDER Basic Training eBook. I talk about how to plan your ride, what the SMARTRIDER principles are all about, the color code chart, what patterns to look for, how to rescue another rider. Anyways, you got to just check it out. Make sure you click the link in the description. There's a discount code. It's the cheapest it's ever going to be. Only 500 people are going to be able to get the code. So make sure you grab yours now. All right, let's get back into the video. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at this part right here. So we're riding with our buddy. Let's take a look at everything that's happening. Okay, so we have no gear other than a helmet. And let's see what kind of riding we're doing. Nice, simple, easy riding. Just relaxing, not going fast. So this is going to be something that's typical of just a normal accident. Okay, it's not something that's going to be good. It's not something that, you know, as a smart rider, we're supposed to be situationally aware. We're supposed to be paying attention. We're supposed to be doing all these things, fundamental skills, everything. These people aren't speeding, okay? And look how bad it was, okay? So we're going to get to the actual incident. Now, I don't think, I want to say, wait, a car hit our friend and tried to run, but later they came to a stop. So I don't know if it was this van that the rider hit. I'm not too sure. There is some damage right there. It could have been them. It could have been them, but I don't think so. There's no rear end damage. But I don't know the whole situation. They said a car. Could have been that white vehicle right there. Could have been that white vehicle, and then they kind of take off. Let's see if we can get some. Yeah, you can't see much here. Okay. Well, let's take a look. Okay, when we're getting up to somebody, this is the part where we do have to remain calm. In your area, this is where you start to direct people to call 911. Because if you have the medical training from accident scene management or any of the stuff that we're talking about right now, you're going to be the one with the most training. You're going to be the most skilled person to be able to handle the patient. A lot of people can handle calling 911. A lot of people can handle getting resources to the scene. But the thing is, you have to remain calm yourself so you can actually do your job. But if you direct somebody and say, hey, you call 911, that means they're going to do it. But if you just say, hey, somebody call 911, everyone else is going to look around at each other and be like, hey, you call 911? You're going to call 911? Someone's going to call 911, and nobody calls 911. So make sure you direct somebody. Take charge of this incident, especially if it's your buddy. You know, who cares? Take charge of the incident. Okay, so we're going to get up to here. We're remaining calm. We're going to ensure our own safety. Now, we're in the roadway. Lots of people die by getting hit by a vehicle because the vehicle is paying attention to that, not looking at you, boom, hits you. So you make sure you ensure your own safety. So right now, oncoming traffic is coming this way towards our face. So keep an eye out. So one thing that you can do is if this is your buddy right here, you tell him to go down this way, up the road, at least 100 feet, and then see if he can not block, but at least get off to the side up there and tell people to slow it down. Because they'll see him, uncommon thing in a common situation, right? Well, that's weird. Somebody's doing this, saying slow down. It's in the kind of the roadway. Weird. So they're going to go around him. You're like, oh, that's why. They're going to slow down 100 feet prior before having to slow down before the actual incident where you're working, okay? So ensuring your own safety is very important. If you get hurt, you're not going to be able to help anybody. So that's very important, very important. I'm going to try not to look at the chat right now so I can focus on this. This is a live stream, by the way, if you're watching this later. So right here, first thing that this person wants to do is take the helmet off. You do not do that. There's only one reason why you do that. They have to not be breathing and be wearing a full face. You hear the snoring respirations. That means the airway, there's some air getting in. That means he's breathing. That means he has circulation because you can't breathe if your heart's not working. So he has that going for him right there. Now, with snoring respirations, there's things you can do, put him in a better position so that the tongue isn't blocking everything. We're not going to talk too much about that because then you start getting into OPAs, MPAs, and everything. The main thing here is that they're breathing. you don't want to mess around too much with that, because the biggest concern here is because of the accident itself. Let's go back just a little bit, is that you're going to have possible spinal issues. So if you take the helmet off, you can possibly have a spinal issue. If he's not breathing and he has a full face, take it off, because you have to breathe for them at that point. Inside the rescue kit that we have here on motorcycletrainingconcepts.com, inside of it, we do have a little CPR barrier. So it's nice and tiny. It's just a plastic barrier, so you don't get any fluids in there. Sometimes they throw up when you're giving rescue breaths, so this will prevent you getting throw up in your mouth. But that's going to be another training in of itself. We have tourniquets. We have 4x4s, 5x9s, emergency blankets. We got 2 gloves for you, trauma shears. We have a rescue card on there. It's going to be the card that is right here in the class. Rescue another rider. It's going to be there. It's going to fit inside your wallet, but we're going to deliver it with you. We got everything you need and everything we're going to be talking about here, okay? So the only time you take the helmet out is for that. Now, just do a quick look while you're walking up. There's going to be a lot of information here. Sorry, you're going to be bouncing around. A lot of information. Look at the skid mark up ahead, okay? So the vehicle, that's the travel they're going. Skid mark, sliding into another vehicle, hitting the vehicle. So head injuries, spinal injuries, leg injuries, hip injuries, open book fracture, sliding across the tank, hitting the gas tank, hitting the handlebars, pelvic injuries, chest injuries, arm, everything. So we got a lot of injuries. So my biggest concern is going to be breathing and circulation. Okay, spinal injuries, yes, we're going to always be safe when it comes to that. So we're not going to do any crazy movements. Now, we saw that them picking up and everything. There's a way to do it and a safe way to do it. That wasn't it. So right here, the main thing I'm going to be worried about is any type of external bleeding that is insanguination. He's going to bleed out. So that's my biggest concern. But I don't see anything. Okay, now luckily he doesn't have it, and it's pretty easy to expose him because you see how his arms are exposed. He doesn't have a jacket, no pants, or nothing. So it's pretty easy to see if there's any major bleeds coming out of his arms, right? But if he has a jacket, or if he has long sleeves, or he has something, that's why we have trauma shears with the rescue kit. The trauma shears are going to cut off the clothes. You got to expose the patient. You got to expose the rider, because if you don't, the clothes can hide a lot of external bleeding. So you cut this off and you check. You see if there's any gouges or lacerations or punctures and major bleeds. And if you have to, you're going to use the tourniquet that's involved here. Now, I'm trying to go through this real quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So we have little blue rescue trainers. Let's say he's bleeding out. Say he's bleeding out like right here. It just starts shooting out. Well, what you got to do is you got to stop that bleed. And I'm going to explain to you what it is I'm doing. And you're going to ride it with the Sharpie that we have, and then hopefully the blood's going to stop spurting out. So what we did here is we stopped the arterial bleed if he's bleeding out. Now, what I did with this is I'm going to be explaining these on how to do this on Motorcycle Training Concepts YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out. There's going to be a lot of medical training on there. We're going to be teaching you everything in July, what to do with the rescue kit. But you can grab the rescue kit right now on motorcycletrainingconcepts.com. But part of that is you don't want somebody to bleed out. That's a preventable thing that kills a lot of people. It's a preventable thing that kills a lot of people. So I'm trying to go through it quick, okay? Trying to go through it quick because there's so much information when it comes to this, and there's so much going on in your head, you're not going to remember everything. And that's why you need to get the training. accidentscene.org, there's a link in the description for the online class. You get $5 off using the code that's in there, and you're going to learn a ton of this. You need more than just one video. So make sure you subscribe here, get the training, get the kit, keep watching. There's so much more that you need to know, and I can't get it all in one video. I'm just trying to show you why it's important. So right here, the biggest concern is a neck injury doing that. Now, he did it gently, but there is definitely a way to do it. You'll learn it in accident scene management. You hear that right there? That right there is the snoring respirations. Now, the reason why he's snoring, why would somebody be sleeping right now? It's because he has a concussion. A concussion is a traumatic brain injury. Okay, so you can have a skull fracture. You can have a ton of different things. You have a bullet through the head, and that's a traumatic brain injury. A concussion is a traumatic brain injury. A concussion is on the lower end. Having your brain outside your skull is on the high end. but it's still traumatic brain injury. So that is not something we should be playing around with. Now, he probably would be dead if he didn't have that helmet, even though that helmet looked kind of janky, but the thing is, it probably saved his life. This right here is traumatic brain injury. That right there tells me that when we do the quick, right here, quickly assess the severity on the rescue card, when you flip the card over, you can kind of see it on right there. There's two sides of the card. When you get the trauma kit, the rescue kit, you're going to get one. We also have those cards on the shop too. Fits in your wallet. We quickly assess the severity. We talk about traumatic brain injuries, spinal injuries, shock symptoms. And this right here, snoring respirations, that right there is indicative of a traumatic brain injury. So when you see this, you see somebody in a crash, you see them on the ground, you see them snoring, you see them not moving, that right there tells you how severe it is. And on that card, it says if they are doing anything like this, call 911, get them to the hospital right away. That's what it means. So you remain calm. You start calling 911 anyways, because you can always cancel them when they show up on scene. Ensure your own safety. You don't want to be a part of the accident. Stop any major bleeds. We just talked about the tourniquet. Quickly assess the severity. It's extremely severe. So if you see anybody doing this, your buddy or anything after a crash, you get to them in the hospital. You get them to the hospital. And the easiest and the best way to do that is to call 911, because you don't want to be messing around with their spinal cord. He's unconscious. He's unconscious. Now he has possible spine injury, so we're moving him around, doing some crazy stuff. Let's not do that. My other concern that nobody really thinks about is how hot is this asphalt? Okay, bare skin on the asphalt, you can get second, third degree burns really quickly. So that's why we have the emergency blanket inside the kit. You can get it underneath him. Okay. Get some clothes, get his jacket underneath him, something. Moving him like that. Now, that right there might scare some people, you know, the blood coming out of the nose, but remember, where is it coming out of? Is it coming out of the nostril on the side? So he probably got some rocks, probably got some metal, cut himself real quick. You got to be watching out for these distracting injuries. Okay, if you get some blood everywhere, it's like, don't worry too much about the blood. Worry about a lot of blood. Worry about the most severe things. Keep the person alive until EMS shows up. Now, their concern is, let's get him to the hospital, and that's a good concern. That's a real concern. Now, picking him up like this, lifting him up, that's when your spine is just getting compressed, moved around. We don't know if there are any spinal processes that are broken off. We don't know if there's any damage to the spinal cord. Now we're just kind of crunching things. Now we're getting things severed. No good. No good. So you got to be watching out. Now, take a quick look, though. One cool thing about gear and clothes is that those are the things that are going to get damaged first. So when you see that there's damage to the right knee, you see the shoe falling off, you see the damage to the pants, like, where is the damage? The knees, the hips. That right there is where you have protective gear. That's where you have the impact absorption material, CE-rated armor, right? So that's why you need to grab yourself some gear. We have a link in the description for some beginner gear from Revzilla, but this right there is why you need to wear gear. Now, you're going to see later on in the video where he actually got hurt a little bit, and you see a little bit of damage to his knee, but thankfully it's not an amputation. Thankfully, it's not massive damage. He got lucky. Most of the trauma happened to the head. So once again, have full gear to mitigate as much as you can, okay? So picking him up, no bueno. Let's not do that. Now, how do you do it effectively? Well, first of all, should you do it? No. Because remember, we're trying to ensure our own safety. That's the only reason why we move a patient, is an emergency move or an urgent move. If the bike was on fire and he was underneath it, yeah, move him. If there's traffic hauling ass back and forth and they're trying to dodge you, yeah, get him out of the roadway. But there's no traffic. So right now we're at 1:30. Let's see. Let's see what the traffic looks like. So right here, we're in the roadway. Yes, we're in the roadway. That is very dangerous. Now, what we need to do is possibly block this lane on the other side. So if we have a vehicle or a bunch of motorcycle riders, let's get some motorcycles on the other side, block that lane, and have people say, slow it down, move over, move over, move over, move over. That way this lane is open so we can do our work, and then when an ambulance comes in, they can park right next to us. So that only reason why we move a patient is if there's an emergency. If there is going to be a vehicle running them over, if there's going to be somebody that is, the bike's on fire, or they're in a water and they're drowning, so you got to move them out. That's the only time you move them is if it's gonna be a life-threatening issue. So just to move them, not a good thing. Now, over here in this country, maybe that's just the culture, and that's just what happens. The ambulance takes forever. We got to get them going, and that's all you have. So how do you move a patient in this situation, or if it's an emergency? You don't move them legs first. Why do babies typically, the way things are designed, go head first? Because it's kind of in line, shoulders and everything. When you go legs first, you catch things, you start moving things, you start grabbing things, and it starts going against the body, okay? So you want to go head first, and you want to drag along the spine. You don't want to be dragging this way. You want to keep everything as stable as possible. That's why you have the blanket. That's why you have, jackets. Make sure you're actually moving them in spine. Now, if we're moving them off to the side of the road just so we can get them to the ambulance, have the ambulance come to us. That's the biggest thing. Now, look at the damage to the leg. Very lucky he doesn't have a spine injury. It's so easy to have spine injuries, guys. So right there, moving and touching the patient on the chest. Now that right there, what that looks like, it's like, oh, he's trying to wake him up. But that's actually sort of what we do when it comes to trying to wake somebody up through pain. So they're not alert, so he's not talking. He's not responding to us verbally. And so we do some type of painful stimulus. And if that doesn't work, then he's unresponsive. So AVPU, alert, verbal, painful, unresponsive. This one is more like a sternal rub. You use your knuckles. Go right now, everybody. You're not going to like me right now. Right now, on your chest, right here, on the sternum, get your knuckles. Go right on it. Push hard. And then rub back and forth. Push hard, rub back and forth. You're not going to like me right now. That is called a sternal rub. Don't do that to a trauma patient. Don't do that. You don't know if he has chest trauma, and you're pushing there, and now you're causing some more fractures, more issues to the chest. He's obviously unconscious. We're not here trying to determine level of responsiveness at this situation. We're more concerned about life-threatening issues, okay? So right here, what we need to do is just keep him there, make sure he's not bleeding out, make sure he's breathing, get 911 on scene, cover him up so that there's no sun on him. Maybe you just block the sun, and then kind of wait. We support the body to stay alive, and that's all we do. So what do we have inside the trauma kit that we have here that will help you? Your sternum just loudly clicked. Yeah, see? Doesn't feel good. What do we do? What can we do to keep somebody alive? First and foremost, if they stop breathing, take a rescue breathing class. So a CPR class will help you out there. American Heart, Red Cross, they have CPR classes. That's going to teach you how to do some rescue breathing, okay? So inside the kit, we have a one-way valve for rescue breathing. Boom, right there. Okay, so let's say they're bleeding out of the arm. I showed you how to do that real quick, and we're going to talk more about that on Motorcycle Training Concepts. With the tourniquets, in our kit, we have 2 tourniquets. We have 4 limbs. In a motorcycle crash, one's if both arms are bleeding. One's if one arm is bleeding, but it's bleeding so much you have to use 2 tourniquets. One's if both legs are bleeding, you need 2 tourniquets. That's why we include 2 tourniquets. Now, our new kits have orange tourniquets. I think orange is a good color. You see how you can see the difference between the two? So orange, we're making the new kits with orange. We have 4x4s right here. So these are, I have a bunch here on the cart, right on the cart on the desk. These are just cotton pads. It's going to absorb some of the blood. And we have 5x9s. So 5x9s are abdominal absorbent pads, and they look like this. Okay, so they're like very absorbent pads. So these are good for packing and good for putting a lot of pressure on the wound. We have a bunch of, we got 4 roll gauze. Now these are great for packing a wound. Okay, so you're going to put some in the wound. We talk a little bit more about that. And then it's good for wrapping the bandages. Got an emergency blanket. We got a medium glove and an XL glove. We got a Sharpie so that you can write down with the time of the tourniquet when it was applied. It went flying. We also have, hey, you're gonna push the button. We also have 2 triangular bandages. So what this is going to be for that sling and swath, so you can cover or hold somebody's arm up if they have a shoulder injury. Very, very good for them so that it's not so painful. We got a whistle inside of it, so just in case you fell down a mountain or you need to get somebody's attention, you got a whistle. And it's in a rip-away bag. So you're out riding, and each one comes with a rescue card. So this allows you to be riding. You get off the bag or get off the bike, and you're like, oh crap, something happened. You're able to grab it, and it opens right up. So we designed this. We put everything in here. We made sure these are the things that are needed for bleeding control, that these are the things that will help you keep somebody alive until EMS shows up. But you do need the training. Okay, accidentscene.org in the description, and we're going to have our own training on motorcycletrainingconcepts.com by the end of September. That's their deadline. That's the goal that we got. But that's why we need to do this, everybody. We need to be paying attention, because this right here is a reality of what could happen. It's a no bueno situation. It could be you. This could be you in the crash. Are your friends in the group that you're in, can they save you? So that's the thing. So get your buddies, get your friends, get your riding group to go take a class with accidentscene.org. Take the online class. We have a link in the description with a discount code, okay? So let's make sure that we're saving each other. Let's make sure we're rescuing other riders. Let's be smart riders. And if you need a trauma kit, we do have a rescue kit on motorcycletrainingconcepts.com. All right? It's tough. It's tough to see. It's tough to see. If you like today's video, make sure you click this video right here to keep watching more. But if you want to become a smart rider, click this and grab this Smart Rider Basic Training ebook. It's going to help you become a smart rider by planning your ride, rescuing other riders, knowing what patterns to look for, and so much more. Make sure you grab it. Link will be in the description also. I'll be seeing you around.